Self-study or private tuitions? What to choose? What are the consequences of either mode of study? If you want to know more, please watch this video. To start with, let's see some interesting statistics from Cambridge International. 55% of Indian students at schools take private tuitions, as compared to only 10% of school-going kids in US. I think that tells a story in itself how much we are dependent on private tuitions and coaching centers to deliver quality education for our kids. Why is that so? It's so for three reasons. Number one, suboptimal quality of education delivery in our schools and colleges. Number two, peer pressure, fear of missing out because your neighbors are sending their kids to tuition teachers. You feel obligated as parents to do the same. Number three, our obsession with marks, and this is applicable both for parents and students. You focus so much on marks and so much on getting the degrees rather than the skills that the obvious choice is taking up tuitions, because tuition teachers indeed help you in getting marks better than if you would not seek their services. Now, what are the pros and cons of taking private tuition? Now, there are of course a lot of benefits of taking private tuition. Number one, you learn faster and better. The teacher with his or her past experiences can serve you in a platter the entire learning journey, a curated journey which can help you learn faster, better. They will share with you tricks, what to prioritize, and that helps so much in getting marks, which is the second point, that it helps us to get better marks in our exams. And more importantly, it also helps us in a healthy competition, because as we do this private tuitions, there are groups of people who do this, so you kind of learn from your peers. But the cons are very heavy. It really builds a lot of stress among students. It doesn't leave much time with students to focus on extracurricular activities. Day in school, evening in tuition. Where do you have time for sports, for creative activities, for imaginative activities? And that is number one reason why our fresh graduates are really not industry ready, because we have never focused on building our personality. We have never focused on expressing our personality through various facets. We always have believed that education and only education will help us give success. The other reasons is it is expensive, right? The parents have to pay for the same services to school and also private teachers. And lastly, it is deterring us from our ability to develop our problem-solving, critical thinking abilities. The fact that everything is spoon-fed to you by a teacher, you don't have to struggle your way out to solve the problems, to interlink the concept, to apply the concepts. It's being to a great extent served to you, and hence when you repeat this on an ongoing basis, you miss a substantial chance of forcing your creative thinking ability and hence evolve that out and outgrow that to the best you could be. Now, let's kind of analyze how you can make a decision, right, in terms of what is the mode of study you should choose. So here I go, we will use our standard 2x2 matrix. X-axis, time to achieve the learning outcome. Y-axis, problem solving ability, which is basically everything to do with your creative thinking, critical thinking, mathematical ability, logical ability, everything I'm calling as problem solving skills. So let's start with quadrant 1, which is where your problem solving skills is low, but your time to achieve the learning outcome is low, which is very good. You are fast in terms of achieving the outcome, but your problem solving is low. Which mode of study do you think falls in this? You're right. This is the private tuitions. If you have tuitions, teacher is serving you easy, and hence you kind of tend to not develop your problem solving skills, but you learn faster. Opposite to that, you take a lot of time, but you also develop problem solving skills. This is self-study. Now, two things here. Number one, I don't mean to generalize. I don't mean that if you do self-study, you will necessarily take a lot of time. I know if you are very intelligent, you can take even short time. But I'm talking of a general kid. I'm talking of a general trend that tends to happen. There is a higher probability that you will take more time if you are doing self-study, because you have to learn your concepts. There's no one to guide you through the tips and tricks, and no one to tell you which questions are more important for the exam. So the second point I want to highlight here is you must be asking that the world doesn't give you inordinate amount of time to experiment, learn at your own pace. The boards are not waiting for you, and I agree with you, and hence my recommendation is not to do self-study. Remember, there are 3 modes of learning: learning from classroom, learning by doing, and learning from peers. And I am recommending you to use all these 3 leverage points by clubbing self-study, which is learning by doing, with learning from classroom by leveraging online platforms. There are so many of them which are almost free, which also provide high quality learning. They share with you tricks and trade, and you can do it any point of time. Leverage that, and then leverage group study in the form of groups of 2. And when you do that, when you club up your learning by doing with learning from classroom and learning from peers, you move to quadrant 4, which is when you have great problem solving skills, but at the same time you have lesser time to achieve the right outcome. The other one, diagonally opposite, quadrant 2, is not a good quadrant to be, because it takes huge amount of time to achieve the learning outcome, less problem solving skills. This happens when your teacher is not good, when you have substandard quality of teachers who are teaching you, or you are really not interested. So I would very strongly suggest you that even if you are taking private tuitions, make sure you are going to the best of the places, otherwise you are really not benefiting out of what you're trying to achieve. Now, key takeaway from here: leverage self-study, but club it up with at least online medium, and if possible in studies in groups of 2. We will look at one more alternate matrix to see learning versus marks. As you can see here, quadrant, we'll start with quadrant 2. Marks is high, learning is low. Typical case where you have private tuitions, because they can guide you what exam questions you need to prepare, but they're not necessarily helping you to learn. Diagonally opposite, great learning, minimum marks. Again, this is a probability in general. I'm not talking of specific in every case. It can vary case to case, but this is where you do self-study. But if you club that self-study, as I said earlier, with online medium learning and with peer learning in the form of study groups of 2, you move to quadrant 3, which is where you get great learning and great marks, which is exactly what I want for you. And then opposite to that is the worst, low learning, low marks, when you have teachers who are delivering you, private teachers delivering you substandard quality education. Now, key takeaways from this session: number 1, don't get carried by peer pressure. You don't necessarily need to go to private tuitions to excel academically. Number 2, leverage all 3 modes of learning: learning by doing, by self-study, learning from classroom through online mediums, which is mostly free, and learning from peers in the form of group study of 2s. And third thing is focus on developing your problem solving skills. Use education as a means to an end, not an end in itself, because remember, what will serve you in life is not those degrees, but the abilities that you develop as you are doing your education, which will really help you in acquiring the skills that will make you successful. Thank you very much. Hope you liked the session. Stay focused and motivated. Take care. Bye.